Let's get to our main topics. I don't know if you've seen this. Chris Hemsworth getting a lot of hate. Um, so
I didn't know he was getting hate, but I heard about some things he said about Taika.
I don't even know what that is. You can bring that up after. Remember that, so
Okay.
we bring it up after we talk about this. He's
Okay.
probably he's probably blaming him, huh, for the for the movie. Let's see.
Yep.
Well, save it. Well, I want to know for once you can surprise me with something, but
Okay.
he's taking hate because he's taking a break from acting after finding Alzheimer predisposition. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's a show for Disney Plus called Limitless, which he had to take
Yeah.
a break for filming halfway because he said he was too buff, for the stuff he was
Interesting.
doing. Because you do know, so you know how women they complain like women over sexualized in movies, but men go through the same thing, especially in these Marvel movies where they have to get like super buff and it's like unmaintainable weight. Like they go
Mm-hmm.
into high gear for like 3 months, they're super ripped, and it's not something you can even
Yeah.
keep. That
Yeah.
comedian, the internals, the Indian guy, the comedian, he got buff
Yeah.
for that role, and he got buff
Yeah.
for like 3 or 4 years before the movie came out. I was like, bro,
He
how long
did.
did you have
Yeah.
to be buff?
It
Like,
took him time.
it's
Yeah.
it's ridiculous for a movie that
Yeah.
he's great in it, but it's not like they even show off his muscles or anything. Like he even needed to be buff in that role. So, but
Yeah.
both Chris's, Hemsworth and Evans, they have to show their muscles and everything. So it kind of sucks. And then nobody
Yeah.
cares about that. But so he found out he's gonna have Alzheimer's, and he got injured. He was getting injured on the show Limitless. He went back and finished it after he filmed Thor. So people were just like, "Oh, I wish I could take a break from my job just because I'm gonna be sick one day," and all this stuff. Is like he's an actor. He can work when he feels like working. What do you mean? It's not like
Yeah.
he's not a 9 to 5. Yeah, he can take breaks.
Yeah.
He can retire right
Yeah.
now if he wanted to. He's not
Yeah.
obligated to play Thor. I just don't understand
Yeah.
how people are so mad he's taking a break
They're
from
really mad?
acting.
Really?
Yeah. First of all, like
Interesting.
mentally, that's traumatized. Like, oh shit, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have Alzheimer one day. But like, he can take a break
Yeah.
anytime he wants. He's not obligated to
Yeah.
work to do Thor to work for us. He's an actor. He could
Yeah.
retire right now, and that's just what it
He
is.
doesn't
I
work for
didn't.
us.
So I don't. Yeah, he works for himself.
Yeah.
It's like being self-employed, sort of. He has to earn his roles and everything. It's like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? People are so mad that he's taking a break because like he's not obligated to do anything for you. It's so weird. I just don't
I
understand
mean,
people.
that's anybody. If you found that out, or if I found that out and I needed to take a break, that's okay. Why is that not
See,
okay?
their perspective is they can't afford to take a break, so they gotta go to work. Well, that's the
No, he
privilege of
can
being
take a
rich and
break.
an actor. Well, no, not everybody can take a break. People gotta work. People got bills to pay. Not
Right. I'm
everybody can
just
take a
saying
break.
he can.
I
Yeah.
understand. Like, yeah, we all work 9 to 5s in real life, but
So they're
that's
hating
the
because
perk.
he's able to? They're
Yeah,
mad because he's able
yeah.
to do it. That's
That's the
silly.
perk of being rich and famous. I hate to tell you, being rich is
Yeah.
you could do that.
Yeah.
Like that's just a perk. Like what do you? It's not like anybody gets those roles. It's like it is what it
Yeah.
is. Why take it out on him? And he's allowed to
Yeah.
be like mentally fucking phased by it. Like Jesus Christ.
Well, I've always wanted to research like what kind of scarring acting does to the brain because sometimes people go through these traumatic scenes over and over again
Yeah.
and
Well,
they
yeah.
if they're so real to them. I'm like always curious have if anyone's ever done like brain scans to actors, especially
Well, I
people
would
like
say
Nicole Kidman. Nicole
why?
Kidman puts herself in these brutal such scenes in almost
Like what?
everything she does. Well,
What
she just
scenes?
did so she did that HBO show, Little Liars. I think
Hmm.
it's what is it called? Hold on, I'll tell you. But almost everything she does is so like, oh my, like so she's in an abusive relationship in Big Little Lies. Um, and then she did a Hulu show, which was where she was playing like a cult leader. I mean, it's just like, and then she's like crying, authentically in these scenes, and like not even just the crying, just like getting so emotional. She played Lucille Ball. I'm just saying when people commit so much and their brains really believe they're there, and she says that when she goes home, she brings it home. She does bring it home.
Hmm.
So, there are people that could turn it off, but people who are like taking it home and that still resonates with them, or like, Heath Ledger, who did take it with him. Like, I wonder what this stuff is doing to their
Yeah, I mean,
brains,
I think the whole Heath Ledger thing is overblown though. Like people's it's not like he was out there saying like I'm getting depressed and blah blah blah. People put that out there. Was Didn't he die from like drug overdose or sleeping pills or something?
Yeah, but that's all. Drug abuse is a
Yeah, I
sign of
mean,
depression.
he did
But
it. They always blame the Joker, but he did a whole another movie that people
well,
forget.
they do say, and because he had journals, I mean, people around him did say it changed him, and that even he said it was hard to like. Okay, even let's say he was fine after that. I am still curious how that kind of stuff scars their brains, like if it scars their brains, because they say that all our emotional trauma does scar our brains. So I don't know, it's interesting. Like, and for Chris Hemsworth, maybe it isn't as intense and like there, I don't I think we're going to talk about Quentin, but he called him not a real actor. But I mean, he's committing to these roles, like
He didn't
it's
say
real for
it's not
him.
what he said. He said there's no real movie stars
Movie
anymore.
stars, yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah, I quoted it wrong, but I think he is a movie star. People are
what's
upset that.
interesting with that quote, right? So Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, he said the
Mhm.
same thing not that long ago. That I think, but Anthony Mackie's perspective is different. So he said that same thing. You're not a superstar anymore. You're just the character. The character you're playing is the star. Like the Falcon's the star. Uh,
But that's been
Anthony
true for the.
Mackie. It just depends. I think Chris Evans is a movie star. I think Chris Hemsworth
Yeah,
is a movie star. I just think they haven't
yeah,
branched out as much as Chris Evans branched out more, like Knives Out and stuff like
yeah,
that.
he has, yeah.
But he's also a better actor. But Chris Hemsworth is great in comedies. I love it when he pops up in a
He's
comedy.
actually great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great comedic actor. Yeah.
So love him in comedies, but like Anthony Mackie, I just don't think he's a star. He took over a Netflix show, and I've met him. He's a funny, chill dude. Like he's really cool. I just when he took over a Netflix show where I forgot the name. It was a sci-fi show where they take over different bodies, so you can change the actor
Yeah.
at any time. And when he took over, I couldn't watch it anymore. It just wasn't good. It didn't feel like
Yeah.
you still got to be
Oh, I
like
think I know which show.
yeah, the personality just wasn't there as far as like his previous personality. So it was like you're not delivering. So that's just that's unfortunately more him. Like if I just don't think he has that star appeal.
Yeah, exactly. I
That's
think
why he would think that way.
yeah, and maybe in some ways he does. I'm sure he has fans. I think there are movie stars. It's just I don't know why
Well, I think
Quentin.
I think Quentin's perspective is like I wouldn't cast those guys. I would have cast like Leo. They're not Leonardo DiCaprio. He gets the best that gets the best of the best. So his perspective, like I would never. I don't think he could deliver anything I would want him to do. That's why I don't see
Yeah,
it.
I don't think
I
that
don't see
means
it as
he's not a
hateful.
movie star.
I think it's
Yeah.
just his perspective. Like the hateful ones for me was the other director, the legendary one with the glasses. What's his name? Goodfellas.
Oh, Scorsese.
Scorsese, those were hateful.
Yeah.
Those are hateful. I believe he generally just hates it all. But I just so when I Tarantino and then you see Anthony Mackie, I think it's more of their perspective on things. Like Anthony Mackie, why I'm not a star, and then Tarantino's like I would never. I don't think they could do anything I will write down. Like you know what I'm saying? Unless he one day if he casted Chris Evans and
Mm,
he was against it, but he used them. It would never happen. He gets what he wants, but I think he'd be pleasantly surprised.
yeah.
Even Scarlett, like
Exactly.
Scarlett's a really great actress. Like
She's
she
an
used to
yeah,
be an
she's an
actress
actor
actress.
actress. Yeah,
Yeah, she used to be an
exactly.
actress. Like she's really great. Just
Mhm.
because you do a Marvel
Mhm.
movie doesn't mean you can't act. Robert Downey Jr. was a great actor back in the day, and he doesn't have to get buff. He's lucky. So
Yeah. No, I think, and also honestly, I think Chris Hemsworth could give him something. A lot of Quentin stuff is humorous. So why wouldn't he be able to deliver? I mean, he could have done the boxer role that Bruce Willis does, and it would have been cool too. Like, it would have been different. There are things Chris Hemsworth could do in artful indie film. I mean, I feel like he could. Maybe his range is different. And movie stars, honestly, the highest paid ones weren't always the best actors back in the day anyway. They were the ones that brought people to the movie theaters. Like, Julia Roberts, Cameron Diaz, they're notorious for being the highest paid actors of all time. They had no training. And Cameron Diaz for a long time couldn't do an accent. So I don't know. I don't know about I think it's just more can you commit to the role that they're giving you and if you have that it factor that you're talking about, which is hard to find. You can't identify the it factor. That's just like you have something that people resonate with. Jennifer
no,
Lawrence, I would say is like today's like movie star of our time because she's
she's
cast in so many things.
she was, but she's faded hard. They don't
She's
cast her in
fading.
anything no more.
I mean, I think because she took her break. We'll see. She's only 30. Like, I feel like she's so young. Like, She
She
can
started,
easily make a
she's
comeback.
probably getting about blackballed a bit because she was complaining really early in her career because she didn't like to do
Yes.
the
Yeah.
makeup and all. She wasn't
Yes.
being a pro. And
Yeah.
people,
You
even
know,
in the
I
X-Men
thought
movies,
that.
like in the X-Men
Yeah.
movies, like, come on, Mystique. So
I know.
Rebecca Romaine,
Yeah.
Mystique, right? She's not a.
Yeah.
She's a model. I think she's a decent actress.
Yeah.
She's a good actress, I think so.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah,
was
I
a
think so.
model, and
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
never complained. She put on, she's always blue, and she's butt
Yeah.
naked doing it.
Yeah.
Pro. And then
I
she comes
agree.
in.
No, yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence is a better actress, but she kind
Yeah.
of seemed like she didn't want to do the hard part.
Exactly. And that honestly frustrated me too because I was like, man, dude, so many people would kill to do that. But
Mm.
and then I thought about, I was like, and I heard her, actually just listened to her talk about it recently. And it's like she couldn't pee, she feels very vulnerable. So I think those are fair complaints because her body's very exposed. Not everybody's comfortable with that. And it was just pain. And that, I could see, okay, like, yeah, if I was doing that every day, I guess I would be kind of embarrassed too. And
I
like
mean,
she had to have somebody
I like her work.
watch
I
her
would like to
pee.
see.
So,
I would like to see her do more, but she just hasn't. It didn't help. She made that movie that you liked with the whole allegory about God and everything with her ex
yeah,
husband.
Mother.
So mother.
But she even said herself she would never do it again. So, or do
Okay.
something like that again. She was very disturbed, but she herself was disturbed by the ending
And
too.
you know what?
So,
When you talk about
and I
mental
was just,
health,
I don't know if I liked it. I actually am very disturbed by the ending. I don't think it was necessary. The rest of it I liked because the tension was there, and I see what he was trying to do. I see that analogy, but I don't think the ending was necessary. It's just too gratuitous.
I didn't watch it, but
Oh, okay.
they kill baby, right? Something like that.
But you see it happen, yeah, an infant. And it's
That's
just, and it
insane.
was real. It was sad. Yeah, it was too much.
And you were talking about mental health. I'll be more worried about the actors from like the '70s and stuff, like The Shining, when
Yeah,
they were allowed to like just abuse them and like
yeah,
even what's it called, The Exorcist. Like
yeah.
he shot a real shotgun into the air just to scare the actors to get that genuine reaction, which is
That's
like,
traumatic.
oh, that yeah.
Yeah.
So and the little girl they like flung her around. So like that's why sometimes those movies are better because they're getting genuine reactions. Or like even Die Hard, when they threw the dude off the roof, they were supposed to tell him when they're going to drop him, and they didn't tell him. So that's genuine fear. You get better stuff, but you're
Oh, that's
traumatizing.
horrible.
You didn't
Oh
know
my
that?
God. No, when you know that the
Dude,
guy, when
that's
he
like a
fell,
classic. Everybody knows that. So yeah,
I didn't,
Alan
Die Hard's
Rickman.
not one of my movies.
Alan Rickman
So,
was pissed. Alan Rickman was pissed because he's on a cable wire. He's high up there in the set, but he's still high. He has to fall, and they were gonna do the countdown, or whatever, and they didn't tell him. They just dropped him. So that's just
oh,
genuine fear of like this. He's falling, like you don't know if something malfunctioned or something. So it's genuine fear.
that's horrible.
Yeah, but that's how
Yeah.
these directors back in the day got real fucking terror. Like
Oh,
they were
yeah. I
fucking
mean,
wild, man. You
yeah,
can't do that shit now, though.
exactly.
You can't do that shit now.
No, you
So
can't.
you don't get as good as performances, but
I don't know. You
it's not
still
right.
do. You have to have a
You
good
can,
actor.
but some people miss, like, oh, it's just like back in the day. Like, well, they did crazy shit back
I
in
think
there.
you just like knowing that it was real fear, but I think you could still show it without all that. If you have a good actor, that's why you need good actors. Alan Rickman is a great actor. I don't think they needed to do that to him.
Just a prank, bro.
That's so messed up.
And then
Do
you
you want
said
to hear
yeah,
the Chris Hemsworth thing?
yeah. So yeah, I
What
was
he's
about to ask. Yeah.
So Chris Hemsworth said that he would do Thor again, but he wouldn't do it with like a crazy genius director again, hinting at Taika.
Wow.
And I was like, that's, yeah. And I reread it too because I was like, no, he didn't say that. He did say it. And I was like, oh, that's
Okay. Well, he also
disappointing.
did the movie before that everybody loves.
Exactly. Everybody turned on Taika, and it's just like, come
Yeah,
on,
it's annoying. It's like
it's really annoying. He literally had the best Marvel
I would
movie.
say there's probably a better movie in there if it wasn't so short. So maybe I don't know what's going on with that. Like it needed to be fleshed out more and maybe
Which
toned
one?
down the Love and Thunder, right?
Love and
So
Thunder.
it's a little short. I would say what hurt that movie is probably not necessarily his fault. So I was gonna say so you cast what's his name, Batman, what's his name, Christian Bale, great actor,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the
Mm-hmm.
character was really good, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of character that should have been built up like they've done in the past. He should have
Mm-hmm.
been built up different
Mm-hmm.
movies. Christian Bale's not
I
going to do
agree.
that anymore. He's not going to be
Yeah.
building it up for you. He's going to do it one time.
Yeah.
So that hurts the movie right there. So
Yeah.
that's not really his fault. And then like the other thing is they love the what's the one before the movie before Love and Thunder, Ragnarok. So
Ragnarok is
everybody loves
everyone's
Ragnarok.
favorite. Yeah.
Ragnarok has a
Yeah.
lot of
I love
humor. It
Ragnarok.
literally
Yeah.
starts with humor when he's upside down, he's talking
Yes.
jokes.
Yeah.
It saved the franchise really because the other movies were not everybody loved, and the first movie was actually kind of funny too. But okay, so why is that movie better? Because it was allowed to be darker because it's setting up the end game. It's setting up the last two movies, Infinity War. It's setting shit up, so you're allowed to kill so
Yeah.
many people. You're allowed to
Yeah.
do that. You can't do that again in Ragnarok because they can only do so
Well,
much.
okay. I
It could
think
have
part of the
been,
issue too.
yeah.
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no. So Chris Hemsworth made another comment. He said that Thor lost his mind in the last movie, and so he did go a little sillier. Like Thor was, while there was humor, he was still a badass, you know. And in this one, he was doing the splits and like the Jean-Claude Van Damme, like sideways splits to stop two ships, and like just being overly silly. Um, Honestly, it didn't bother me. I still love the movie. I do think it went for the humor more. But I think that's what people didn't like, and I think he also is trying to express he didn't like how it went a little too far with Thor being ridiculous, you know. So his comment was just that Thor lost his mind in the
Yeah,
last
they
movie,
could have toned it
and
down, but
that's
I
fair. I
enjoyed
think
it.
that's fair. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think that there's a lot. The thing is that people aren't seeing that Taika Dill still added a lot of depth to it. You know, there's a father-daughter story there. You know, and I actually liked the chemistry between Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth, and making her nerdy. And he also understands Natalie Portman's charm. I think he brought that out. Like she did a lot of that goofy romantic stuff in the movie that some of the movies that she's famous for, like Garden State, you know, where it's kind of nerdy and cute. And he kind of, I think he was always a fan of hers. So I think he kind of he said, just be yourself, be like that kind of goofy, you know, nerdy self. I liked it. I like seeing that side of her, and like how she couldn't find a catchphrase. Like there's just so much that's good about it. But I can see that sometimes it went a little overboard with Thor in like making him look a little silly, you know. But I don't think it destroyed the movie the way people are making it seem, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, me too. But yeah, I can understand if you wanted to tone it down, but a lot of people just didn't like it because of it. And maybe that would have been helpful to have like 100 different takes so you can you can tone it down.
Yeah.
You should have
Maybe
Gary
let me
Marshall
not
that
do the
shit.
split.
Yeah, I understand. I understand where they're coming from. I didn't think it ruined the movie, but that's just something like next time, let's tone it down, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same token, like it's just figuring out the balance that they did in Ragnarok. But it's
Yeah,
also like
exactly. The balance.
it
Yeah.
was never gonna be as emotional. I mean, they tried with the cancer thing and everything, so I thought it was emotional there.
Yeah,
They
that
just
was sad for
tone down the
me.
humor, I guess. Yeah.
I think they have to work alongside each other well. So when you have such a weighty scene and then him doing the splits right before that, I think they, and then also
I
like,
don't even remember him doing a split. So
oh well, you could cut that in. It looks ridiculous. He's doing like the Jean-Claude Van Damme, like
oh,
straight up
kind
like
of.
this with his legs like that, and stopping two ships. And then also, I think people didn't
Wasn't that
like
with
how
those?
Zeus.
Wasn't that in the owl scenes or something?
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think people didn't like
the
that
beginning of the
too.
movie. It's funny.
I mean, yeah, I think it's funny. I just think I can see
If he was doing that
someone
like in
like
the
Chris
middle of the movie,
Hemsworth. I can see why Chris Hemsworth though feels like felt ridiculous maybe doing it. You know.
I would
Um,
say if he was doing that in the middle of the movie against Gore, that'd be one thing. But it's the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I think people also didn't like Zeus, you know, how silly he came off. And yeah, it could have been cool to see like more
Well,
scary Zeus.
he was doing the legitimate
He did do two
Greek accent.
versions.
Well, he was doing a legitimate Greek accent because he's supposed to be
He
Greek.
was.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he was silly
Yeah.
though. He was
He
silly.
was silly. Yeah.
I was
I
surprised
mean,
he was silly. Yeah.
I mean, it didn't bother me, but I could see why that would, you know, because you know when you compare it to Ragnarok, none of the villains were silly, you know.
Yeah. He wasn't
So,
really a villain though. He just wasn't a hero.
well, he's the
Zeus.
antagonist of that story, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, they could have
or at least that
at that
scene.
point. That's when it's just start getting more serious. Like you keep
Yeah.
you keep the joke about flicking too hard because that's hysterical.
Yeah, that was
You
hilarious.
keep that, but he could yeah, that's when it needs to start getting
I
more
think
serious.
you always need want your villains, like you said in another, podcast, that we always like the bad guys when they're like badasses. And I have to say, in Ragnarok, like the fire one was really cool. He was, the one that was hanging him upside down that destroys that commits to the prophecy. And obviously, Kate Blanchett, the sister, was awesome, like
Yeah,
as a
she's great.
villain. And then even the Hulk, he at some kind of plays an antagonist to Thor in the beginning when they're getting to know each other, and even that's fun and not overly humorous. He's not saying that much, so you have to have your antagonist be kind of cool in a way, you know. Um, and like you
Yeah,
said, they could have developed Christian Bale more. It was just so
yeah.
short for such a cool actor, yeah,
They needed, yeah,
and a
that
cool
needed to be
villain.
fleshed out more,
Yeah, yeah. I
or
mean,
him
especially
actually.
since he's killing gods. So that's literally
Yeah,
Thor and Jane are in danger.
yeah.
So yeah.
All right.